Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is the finale of What If Mileena was in love with Naruto. If you guys enjoy this what if, then comment, like and subscribe. Let's go. Also the video goal is 10 likes, so let me know that you're interested in the series and you want the next part. Then go ahead and check out the other what ifs in the channel. Before we start, please do support for more awesome content. Don't forget to subscribe and leave. Also share the video with your friends and link in the description. So let's go. Fighting the Fallen. Naruto and Mileena walked inside the main chamber of the Gensei. They saw that Devora was spitting some sort of web-like material all over Johnny Cage, trapping him. Meanwhile, Cassie Cage was witnessing Shinnok inside of the Gensei energy, contaminating it, and then absorbing it. Naruto and Mileena both watched as the fallen elder god literally transformed into some sort of monster. Shinnok glided down in front of Cassie and said to her, "This is what awaits those who oppose me, slow and excruciating death." He shot out a blast of energy at the daughter of Cage. Cassie rolled out of the way, just barely dodging the energy projectile. She began to pull out her pistol but was stopped by getting hit with another energy ray that corrupt Shinnok shot at her. With a loud yelp of pain, Cassie was blown back several feet. When she stopped rolling, she was on the ground face down and unmoving. "Go check on her," Naruto yelled at Mileena. She nodded and went to go complete her task, but was interrupted by Devora, who said to the half-Edenian, the Forgotten Empress. Angered, Mileena pulled out her say as she said, "You will remember me, insect." "Every time we pass your grave," Devora retorted. Mileena growled and said, "I will rip out your throat." Mileena tossed her say at the insect queen, eager to get first blood. She was rewarded with a cry of pain that came from the chitin. "That's what Devora is, right?" Chitin. Devora was not expecting to be that fast. She definitely wasn't that quick before. Devora looked back at the former empress, a large gash across her cheek. She roared out in fury and threw her hands forward, and thousands upon thousands of insects flew out from her wrists, intending on devouring Mileena alive. She was surprised to find that her insects slowly turned completely black, but were still moving around. She produced a few thousand more, but the same result happened. She could no longer feel any of her insects that she had just released, but right in front of her flew at least 10,000 insects, if not more. Mileena, feeling a new presence behind her, whipped around, her say at the ready. She was surprised to find one of the people that had come to find Naruto. His hood covering most of his face save for his eyes, which were covered from thick sunglasses. The rest of his outfit comprised of a thick dark gray coat that covered everything but his feet. His arms were raised, and Mileena saw what seemed to be an endless stream of black insects coming from his sleeves and eating those from Devora. "Shino Aburame, at your service," he said stoically to Mileena. Then, from behind Shino, Hinata, Kiba, and Akamaru ran towards Devora. Kiba yelled out, "Get the insect freak, Akamaru. Beast man clone. Fang over fang." The two large tornado-like attacks forced Devora to jump in the air. Hinata then jumped up high in the air, intending on meeting her head-on. Devora thrust her arm forward, and a small jet of acid streamed out of her wrist and straight towards Hinata's face. Hinata yelled out, "Kaden," and spun around, the protective blue chakra shield appearing and knocking the acid away as if it were nothing but harmless dirt. After the jutsu was complete, Hinata was still pretty high in the air, and then threw a kunai which struck true, directly in the insect queen's shoulder, rendering one of her arms useless. "Ah!" Devora cried out in pain. She began to fall down but then spread her insect wings and began to fly away from teammate and Mileena. "She's getting away," Mileena yelled out. "No she's not," Hinata said confidently while smirking. She brought up her hands together and yelled out, pumping chakra into the explosive tag that was wrapped around the handle of the kunai embedded in the insect-like woman's shoulder. In the short distance, the kunai exploded. Devora cries were heard in the large cloud of smoke that appeared in the air away from them and watched as she dropped from the ceiling of the Gensei chamber. "She's mine," Mileena yelled out as she ran towards her prey. She could smell the blood, and it was driving her crazy. That, and coupled with the rage and hate that she felt for the pitiful creature that existed that had betrayed her, really didn't make for a good mix for the chitin woman. Devora saw the half-Tarkatan and half-Edenian running up to her and fast. She tried to raise her arm to launch some more acid or at least one of her stingers in a last-ditch effort to impale her enemy, but was too slow as she felt the sigh that Mileena had quickly thrown stab her hand and stake it into the concrete ground of the Gensei chamber. With her other arm missing, she tried to use her other stinger as a second hand to push herself away, but was too late as she saw Mileena jump and land right above her. Devora was officially scared as she watched the construct born of Shang Tsung remove her mask and bare her fangs at her. Her claws elongated, and before she knew it, her world exploded in pain as Mileena started clawing and ripping her midsection into pieces and eating it. It had happened so quick that Devora didn't even register the pain at first until it all flooded her mind at once. She screamed in both pain and horror and tried to push herself away. By the time she had ripped her hand free of the sai, she was backing only the top half of her body away from the lower half that was still being devoured by Mileena. She looked one last time at Mileena's face. What she saw last would haunt her in the afterlife. Mileena's unmasked face, drenched in her bluish blood, snarled as she slowly said to the dying Kaiten, "Try Toor." Then, she went back to eating her lower half, and Devora breathed her last. Mileena, having her fill, stood up and turned around to face teammate and said to them, "Tasty." Tsunade, Sakura, and Hanabi ran up to Johnny Cage and immediately began removing all of the orange web-like material off of him. Once enough of it was off, Tsunade began healing him as best as she could, as quickly as she could. She could feel multiple insects inside of him and was absolutely disgusted at the nasty creature that had done this. She focused her chakra to act as both as an incredibly powerful healing factor and also as an incredibly deadly chakra wave for the insects burrowed inside of him. The insects, once hit with the chakra wave, were simply erased from existence. No blood, no guts, no nothing. Just here one moment, gone the next. At the same time, that same chakra wave would heal any and all damaged tissue. Sakura, meanwhile, was restoring his strength. Hanabi, using her Byakugan, tore away at the weakest and most vulnerable points of the web trap. Within a few minutes, Johnny Cage was freed from the Charlie's Angels as he thought. He looked up and saw Tsunade's bust and said, "Woo-ah, can I touch your boobs, Miss Angel?" Tsunade developed a tick mark on her forehead and delivered a brutal knockout punch to Mr. Cage. His head hit the ground as he went to the realm of unconsciousness. "Lady Tsunade." Hanabi yelled out in surprise, "You just hit the patient. Unnecessarily hard." Tsunade smacked the back of the unconscious man's head and said, "He'll be fine." Join me, young one, Corrupt Shinnok said as he looked down at Naruto. "I can sense all of your pain, your hatred, your fears, your worst fear being alone." Corrupt Shinnok walked slowly forward towards Naruto and said calmly, "I wage war on the Elder Gods. They have ruled over everything since the beginning of time. And yet, they involve themselves in only the events that would possibly guarantee them power. While they let the ones like you suffer, alone. Join me, Naruto Uzumaki, and get your vengeance upon all of those who have done you wrong your entire life. You do not need to go around unsatisfied. Your vengeance can be claimed. I know you want it, I can literally feel it inside of you, trying to get it out. Join me, and claim what is yours." Naruto just sat down in front of the monster and closed his eyes and folded his armored hands in his lap. "I understand, you need a moment to think about it. It is a large portion of your life to relinquish, but I promise you that you will not regret. Are you not tired of the pain that constantly attacks your very heart? How you struggle with your pain every moment of every day. It's not really that hard of a choice to make. Come with me, and defeat these ones who, I can sense them, these are some of the people that you have known for your entire life, correct? Why do you work with them at all? They stood by and watched while you suffered. Suffered, and did so alone. Rise, and take your vengeance at my side." Naruto opened his eyes, revealing that he had gone into sage mode. He slowly stood up and said, "Everything you just said is true." But, he suddenly lunged forward and hit Corrupt Shinnok in the chest, making him stumble back a bit. Naruto continued saying, "Vengeance isn't the way to go about solving it." Corrupt Shinnok stood up straight and laughed and said, "Ha ha 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 ha, that was a very strong hit, young one. This is your last chance, join me." Corrupt Shinnok raised his hand as it started glowing with an extreme amount of power, or die. "Fuck you," Naruto said simply as he threw a kunai with an explosive tag on it at Shinnok. Shinnok released his power, hitting the kunai. The result was a large blast of smoke and fire. Once the dust cleared, Shinnok looked around to find his target. He heard crackling behind him and dodged at the last second as Sasuke Uchiha ran right past him, his Chidori missing by mere inches. Shinnok swatted Sasuke back like he was a fly and laughed as he said, "Such fools, weak and pathetic. Don't you have anything better than this? Ha 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 ha." He had to dodge to the side once more as Kakashi plunged downwards, his own lightning blade attack missing by an inch or two. His attack hit the ground and rocks and sparks of lightning flew everywhere, knocking Shinnok back, right into the hands of Naruto. Naruto jumped and spun multiple times in the air and landed a brutal flip kick to Shinnok's back, sending him flying back into Sasuke's Chidori. His arm struck through Shinnok's chest, his Chidori still sparkling with life. Corrupt Shinnok looked down at the arm sticking out of his chest and began to laugh. "Ha ha ha ha, is this all you have? I'm sure you can do better. I am Shinnok, an elder god. You are fool if you think this can stop me." Shinnok grabbed Sasuke from behind him and threw him away like a ragdoll. Sasuke hit the wall and a large crunch was heard and he winced in pain before he fell to the floor. He was about to get up, but Shinnok in a burst of speed ran and stomped on Sasuke's back, forcing him back down. He then raised one of his hands up and a large orange-yellow colored energy spear formed in his hand and he yelled out, "Goodbye, you worthless human." He thrust the spear down and it pierced Sasuke's back. The energy spear continued through his body and pierced through the tough cement floor of the Gensei chamber underneath him. Sasuke screamed out in pain and then lay down, lifeless. Corrupt Shinnok laughed victoriously but was then surprised as the body beneath his foot transformed into Naruto, which then began to glow a bright white. Shinnok looked at Naruto, who was standing right next to Sasuke. Naruto had luckily replaced Sasuke with an explosive clone, which proceeded to explode, causing a tremendous blast that blew corrupt Shinnok into the wall of the chamber. As he stood up, he stared at the three men of Team 7 and charged at them with blazing speed, way too fast for a monster his size. Naruto was expecting this, however, and charged forward as well to meet him halfway. Right before he connected his fist to Shinnok's jaw, he realized that even Sage Mode was not strong enough by itself to defeat this thing. So, he did what he did during the Fourth Great Ninja War 5 years ago, he added his Kyuubi chakra into the mix. Shinnok saw, in slow motion, the ninja's eyes change from a yellow with a toad-like iris in the center to more of a cross-shaped form, and a sudden huge burst of power surrounded him, giving him the look of him wearing some sort of trench coat, and watched as his fist connected with his own jaw. He was powerful, he had the energy of the Gensei within him, there was no way that this one little kid could hurt the likes of an elder god. How wrong he was. He felt the monstrous amount of raw power through the single punch that cracked his mutated jaw as he was launched back into the wall. He also watched as Naruto, faster than he was before, charge and slam a Rasengan into his chest as well. Corrupt Shinnok's blood, now which looked more like magma than blood, spill and spray everywhere from the jutsu. Shinnok screamed in pain. He was glad that he had absorbed the Earth's main energy source, because if not then he probably, more than likely, would have been defeated by this extremely powerful jutsu. Corrupt Shinnok shakily grabbed the hand that held the jutsu and threw Naruto away into the wall next to him and quickly got up to kick him in the face before he could connect though, Kakashi had run up and swept the one leg Shinnok was standing on. As Shinnok fell, Sasuke extended his Chidori like a lightning sword like he did when he first stabbed Orochimaru that forced him back up against the wall. Shinnok had the electrical blade between his palms and was struggling to keep it from penetrating him through the throat. Naruto, during this time, had gotten up and summoned two clones. Naruto held out one hand as one clone stabilized the chakra as the other began to spin the chakra quickly. Shinnok thrust his hands to the side quickly, allowing the chakra blade go through his hands and penetrating the wall beside him. He then could feel the massive amount of chakra building up and also heard the whirling and humming noise not too far from himself. He looked over at Naruto and saw what looked like a large pure white shuriken spinning faster than the eye could see. The absolute power that radiated off of him actually terrified the corrupted elder god. "You have terrorized the world long enough, you son of a bitch," Naruto said to him. "You have attacked my friends and my girlfriend. I don't even know what other horrible crimes you have committed. Elder god or not, you will die here and now." Naruto threw the jutsu at the corrupted Shinnok. Wind style, Rasen's Hurricane. Sasuke grabbed Kakashi and they both suddenly disappeared, replaced with a rock. Corrupted Shinnok threw his mutated hand forward and shot his own energy beam at it, but it was demolished instantly against the condensed power that was whizzing right towards him. Shinnok couldn't stop it, so he brought both hands forward to try and manually stop its pursuit. How bad idea that was, he would soon find out. The jutsu slammed into him like a wrecking ball, and it knocked him through the Gensei chamber wall and onto the balcony outside. The Rasenshuriken suddenly shrunk to a tiny size and then exploded, blowing off Shinnok's arm in the process. Screaming in agony, Shinnok fell to the ground. He then quickly stood up and, filled with pain and rage, charged at the blonde-haired ninja walking out of the newly created hole through the wall. Naruto, his Kyuubi sage cloak still surrounding him, ducked underneath the hook from the Elder God and uppercutted him. "You honestly think that you can defeat me?" Naruto asked sagely. "I fought alongside Sasuke against Madara and Kagaya. They could literally destroy the world if they wanted to without too much trouble. We defeated them. I can tell you are powerful within your own right, but compared to them, it's like the difference between fighting a dog and fighting an elephant. You stand no chance, Shinnok. Give up now, or die." Corrupt Shinnok stood and laughed, saying, "Do you even know who I am, boy? I am Shinnok. I cannot be killed, and even if I could, you, a little young child, would not be the one to do it. Ha 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 ha. You are full of yourself, full of the dreams and lies that you have been told your entire pathetic human life. Say that to Kurama," Naruto said. He then turned back towards where Kakashi and Sasuke were and said, "Make sure everyone gets out of here all right. I'll take care of this piece of shit." Sasuke nodded and, grabbing Kakashi, teleported once again. Naruto looked back at corrupt Shinnok and said, "Prepare to die, you jackass." He then charged forward with a burst of speed and drop-kicked Shinnok square in the chest, sending him flying back. Before he even began his descent, Naruto ran forward and delivered a brutal uppercut that once again cracked his jaw, and sent the fallen Elder God over the balcony and into the clouds of the sky below the Sky Temple. As Shinnok screamed on his descent to the ground from the sky, Naruto said to him under his breath, "I'm not done with you yet, bastard." Naruto then ran towards the edge of the balcony and jumped off as well and then dived straight towards his target. Shinnok saw the ninja flying towards him and took comfort in knowing that the young one was actually foolish enough to try to finish him off in the sky, because the truth of the matter was that he was going to end up as nothing but a splatter of blood and gore on the ground thousands of feet below them. It was then that he saw the ninja bring his hands together as if he were praying and yelled out, "Hoo-ah-ah." Shinnok definitely did not expect a giant golden energy sprout out of him and slowly transform into a giant golden fox with 9 tails. It then roared at him with such fury and power that Shinnok didn't think that even all of the Elder Gods combined could take it down. Shinnok was blown back by the sheer force of the soundwave. He was then propelled to the ground even faster because of it. A few minutes later, Shinnok hit the ground with such tremendous force that it caused a small shockwave to appear on the ground, uprooting a few trees in the forest surrounding them. Shinnok then looked up painfully to see a huge golden fist descend upon him, and he felt such an enormous amount of pain from being pushed into the ground. From the Biju's chakra fist. However, Naruto stopped as a foreign thought from someone else, entered his mind. "Naruto, it's me, Ino. I'm connecting to you from your chakra signature. Geez, and you wonder why it's so easy to find you. Your chakra signature's so strong I can easily read it from a few miles away. Anyway, I'm connecting you to Raiden mentally. He says he has to tell you something very important regarding this Shink guy or whatever his name is. Get ready, here it comes. Nar, 2, remove, remove, amulet, drain, power. That's it, Naruto, the guy just passed out, whatever he just told you, follow through. Ino out. The golden chakra fist lifted and Kurama saw a completely dazed Shinnok. Kurama, using 2 of his claws, reached down and removed the amulet from his center. It gave way instantly, sending more magma-like blood spraying everywhere. The energy instantly drained from the fallen Elder God and dissipated, returning to the Gensei chamber. Shinnok then was returned to his regular self, but unconscious. Kurama smiled as he dissipated as well, leaving Naruto in his regular form in the air as he descended to the ground as well. Naruto landed gracefully as a ninja should. He then walked slowly forward as he drew his sword from the sheath on his back. When he finally reached the still-downed monster of a god, he put the tip of his blade at the jugular of the god's throat and said, "You are a sick bastard. For everything you have done, you will die." Just then, a flash of lightning appeared next to Naruto and Raiden emerged, although still wounded, much better now that he had just cleansed the Jensei, and it had healed him for the most part. He saw the state that Shinnok was in and said to Shinnok, "It is as I told you before, Shinnok, we have defeated you before and imprisoned you in the Netherrealm. We shall do so again this time as well." No, Naruto immediately disagreed. Clearly, that's not going to work, because he got out last time. We need to do something that will completely make him unable to break free again. How so? Raiden asked him. He is a fallen elder god, but an elder god still, he cannot be killed. Then we do the next best thing, Naruto said. With one quick swipe, the head of Shinnok was separated from his body. Blood sprayed and stained the grass as Shinnok let out one final yelp of pain before he passed out. Naruto reached down and grabbed the severed head and tossed it to Raiden and said, "Here. Imprison that piece of garbage. Even if someone does free it again, all they'll get is a severed head, and a severed head is practically useless." Wait a second. Naruto walked to Raiden and grabbed a kunai, then proceeded to remove the tongue from the elder god's skull, then cut out his eyes and ears. Lastly, he wrapped an explosive tag on the handle of the kunai and channeled a large amount of chakra into it, then stabbed Shinnok's severed forehead with the kunai. The blade was buried deep into the brain, with only the handle and the tag wrapped around it showing. "He can't talk, hear, or see shit now," Naruto said to the Thunder God. "And, if someone other than you does try to free the damned Elder God, I rig the explosive tag to make a huge explosion to kill not only the one trying to free him, but also clearly obliterating Shinnok for good. He's not getting his hands on anything ever again." Raiden bowed low to Naruto and said, "Thank you very much, Naruto Uzumaki. Both Earth Realm and myself owe you a great debt." "Don't worry about it," Naruto said to Raiden, "just make sure that Mileena is made Khanum of Outworld again. I can rule alongside her, and everything will be good to go. See you later, Raiden." Naruto then vanished with a puff of smoke. Raiden looked down at the mutilated head that was rigged with Naruto's kunai bomb and thought, now to pay the Netherrealm a visit. He created a thick brown bag and stuffed the severed head into it, then raised his hand into the air. A flash of lightning later, and Earthrealm's protector vanished, transporting himself to the Netherrealm to visit a couple of old friends. Back the fuck off. Raiden stood in the middle of the hall in his normal outfit. Something, however, was different about him. He normally was the regal one, commanding authority and respect, yet being a gentle soul. Now, that was not the case. He was still calm and collected, but if one looked closely, they would be able to see a cold and righteous fury behind his white eyes, just waiting to be unleashed upon his enemies. Huge and erratic sparks of electricity would sporadically come from any part of his body, like he was struggling to contain it within himself. The periodical flashes of lightning slightly illuminated the darkened halls of the Netherrealm Castle's throne room. Skulls of many different beings decorated the walls, signifying the strength and ability to conquer. Raiden narrowed his eyes and stared forward at his two former allies who had become victims of Shao Kahn's invasion all those years ago. Raiden had always been the one to give at least one fair warning to his enemies before he exterminated them. He saw no reason to stop that honorable road now. They were, after all, once his allies. His friends. Times have changed now. Raiden stepped forward and said calmly, "Too long have I allowed Earth Realm to endure the horrors of war. Time and again we have defeated our enemies, but we've exacted no retribution, demanded no remuneration." He then stepped forward again and a slight edge to his voice was heard as his voice echoed throughout the halls of the throne room, small sparks of lightning coming from his eyes. "What have we gained from our mercy? More intrigue. More senseless violence." Thunder was heard in the throne room and the air thickened considerably, the killing intent of the area so thick to where it was difficult to breathe. Raiden took a step back and the air cleared a little, allowing to two former allies of Raiden a moment of respite as he continued to speak to them. Raiden then began his warning. "As the new rulers of the Netherrealm, heed me." He held out his hand and a large lightning ball formed instantly, it begging to attack and fry someone with a vengeance. "No longer will I simply defend Earth Realm. I will seek out and destroy all who threaten it." He held out his other hand and placed upon the lightning ball. Once he touched it, the lightning separated and traveled up his arms and covered his entire body, like an electrical field of armor. No mercy will be shown. No quarter given. He then reached into the thick brown bag and tossed the severed and mutilated head, courtesy of Naruto, at the feet of the two new rulers of the Netherrealm. His lighting armor dissipated as he stepped forward and said to them, Shinnok was an elder god, impossible to kill. The two rulers looked down and stared at the eyeless, earless, and tongueless severed head of their former leader, and at the kunai buried hilt deep in the forehead, as it tried to desperately gasp for air and slowly move its jaw around. Raiden reiterated his point from before by saying, there are fates worse than death. He then stepped back and raised his hand high in the air as an enormously powerful lightning bolt appeared and Raiden teleported away. The revenant forms of Liu Kang and Katana stepped down the short amount of stairs and were shocked to see the deformed head of the former leader. They knew now to absolutely never threaten Earth Realm. Raiden did not do this, Katana said to her now husband and fellow ruler, Liu Kang. I know, he said to her, but whoever did is clearly on his side. We must not attack them, unless we want to end up like Shinnok. No, we need to do better, Katana said. We must ally ourselves with the strongest, and whoever is on Raiden's side is clearly stronger than any one of us, maybe even combined. Are you saying that we should seek an alliance with Earth Realm? Liu Kang asked. Yes, Katana responded. Mileena sat on her throne in Outworld. She was currently in her vampiress outfit. Her old Kanem outfit was something she had worn before, something in her past. She wanted to wear something that not only showed her royalty, but also something that would make it very hard for her lover to keep his eyes off of her. So far, she had done a very good job. If you don't know what it really looks like, you can easily go on Google and check it out. It's called her vampiress skin. Obviously though, in the story she's not extremely pale or anything. She ran her hand across the armrest of the chair, relishing the fact that she had succeeded in her goal that she had set for herself so many years ago. Obviously she had help, but she succeeded nonetheless. Her fellow ruler, Naruto Uzumaki, sat in the throne next to her. Kakashi, the sixth Hokage of Konoha, along with the rest of the Konoha shinobi force that had traveled along to Outworld to search for him, stood behind their Hokage. Are you sure you want return to Konoha, Naruto? Kakashi asked his former student. I'm sure, Kakashi-sensei, he responded. My place is here now. Konoha was never really my home to begin with, just a place that I lived in. This place is my home, beside my love. That's what I thought you say, Kakashi sighed. He walked up the short flight of stairs leading to the two thrones and stuck out his hand towards his former student saying, well then, Naruto, good luck with everything. And don't be a stranger, stop by every now and then, will ya? I need someone to help me with my training every now and then. Someone to keep me on my toes. Why don't you ask Sasuke for that? Naruto asked. Why who better to have than the #1 hyperactive, unpredictable ninja of Konoha? Kakashi smiled. Naruto smiled as well as he took his former sensei's hand in his own and said, sure thing, I'll stop by when I can. Kakashi nodded then stepped back down and headed towards the large double doors at the end of the hall. He then stopped and looked back and said to Mileena, you keep him safe, you hear? He's important to me. I wasn't elected to be the Hokage for nothing you know. Mileena smiled as she said, don't worry, I'll keep him safe. Kakashi nodded as he stood by and waited for everyone else to say their goodbyes. One by one, everyone either walked up and shook their hands or gave them hugs. Finally, when Tsunade walked up, she didn't even bother to say goodbye. She just walked up with authority and grabbed Naruto in a vicious hug. His masked face was in between the valley of her breasts as she practically tried to absorb him through the hug. You stay safe, you hear me brat? She said, struggling to keep the tears from falling. If anything happens to you I'll come down here and help the enemy kick your ass, you understand? She tried to hug him harder, but then realized that he did need to breathe after all and let him go. Naruto sat back in the throne and tried to catch his breath. Mileena laughed a little at his plight. Tsunade then said to her, you have no idea how much this man has suffered in his short life. I did my research, and understand that you Edenians can live for thousands of years. Clearly, he won't live that long, but I want you to make whatever he has left to be the best that can be, alright. He's like the son I never had. He's family. I love him as such. Please, make sure he's okay. I promise that if you are loyal to him, he will give you his all in every way imaginable. He will literally change your life for the better. He did so for me. Thank you, Naruto. Mileena grabbed Naruto's hand and told Tsunade, he already has. And I love him too. Tsunade smiled and turned to leave. Naruto stopped her by saying, Granny Tsunade. She turned to face him as he said to her, thank you for everything you did for me. It was rough in the beginning, but I'm really glad that I've met you. Thank you for everything you've taught me. If you ever need me, you know where I'll be. Tsunade smiled softly and said to him, you have no idea how much I'm gonna miss you calling me that. Naruto smiled at her in return. A portal leading back to Konoha opened up behind them as they all turned to leave Outworld and return to their home. One by one, Kakashi, Sasuke, Sakura, Hinata, Kiba, Akamaru, Shino, Ino, Hanabi, and lastly Tsunade exited through the portal. The portal remained open for a few seconds after they had all left and then slowly began to close. Finally, it ceased to exist, leaving no sign that those from Konoha were just there. Mileena looked at her side towards her lover and king and asked him, what do we do now, my love? That depends on you, Mileena Kanam, Naruto responded. My empress is the true leader of Outworld, I'm just helping out. Then there's something that you can help me with, the restored empress said sultrily. Come, make me feel like a woman. Naruto smiled underneath his mask as he stood up. He held out his hand and said, that, my empress, I can do. Mileena's smile was hidden behind her veil as she took her lover's hand and stood up. He slowly guided her towards the center of the hall and he led her in a dance. One of his hands was on her hip, one of hers was around his neck, and their other hand was joined together as they danced slowly and regally. If anyone were to come in on them right now, they would be able to easily see the love they each had for each other. It was then that they heard a very loud noise outside of their castle as the floor rumbled like it would during an earthquake. Naruto and Mileena were immediately alarmed and ready for anything. The large double doors at the end of the hall burst open as two of the Tarkatan guards, now dubbed the Royal Tarkatans, ran inside and spoke their language to their empress and emperor. Mileena narrowed her eyes and Naruto said to her, what's wrong, love? Without looking at him, Mileena responded with, it seems that the Netherrealm has decided to attack us. For what reason? Naruto exclaimed. He double-checked his red-clawed gauntlets to make sure they were tight and his sword belt was strapped on correctly before saying to her, well then, let's go kick some ass. Mileena nodded as they ran towards the open double doors. The two Royal Tarkatan that had came in to inform them held the two doors open wide for their rulers. Naruto and Mileena stopped at the edge of the stairs leading up to them and saw that there were at least 500 Netherrealm demons, the ones at the beginning of MKX, and there were two huge ones behind all of them. The two huge ones had to be at least 10 stories high, and looked more like giant rocky and lava demons more than anything else. And at the very front of the army stood the two new rulers of the Netherrealm, Revenant Liu Kang and Revenant Katana. Congratulations on your reclamation, sister, Revenant Katana said mockingly. However, I'm afraid it is to be short-lived. As you can see, my husband and I have brought our army that is just begging for our command to destroy everything here. And they will receive it, unless you relinquish your queenship to me. Do that, give up your status as this realm's ruler to me, and Outworld will remain safe. Before Mileena could respond, Naruto stepped forward and said to them, tell me, do you know who I am? How dare you? Liu Kang said as he stepped forward. Your queen just gave you an opportunity to save yourselves, and you repay her with your insolence. I will. Yeah, shut up, Naruto said interrupting him. Say, I remember your leader, Shinnok, right? How is his head feeling? I'm sure he must have had one nasty headache after I practically mutilated the son of a bitch. Liu Kang and Katana froze up at that statement. They looked at each other and then back at Naruto as Liu Kang said, you are the one who did that. Damn right, Naruto responded. Listen up, and listen close. Naruto spoke as he walked very slowly down the stairs. My name is Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. I am originally a ninja from the hidden ninja village of Konohagakure. I am the Toad Sage of Mount Myoboku. I am the student of Jiraiya the Gallant, the current Hokage Kakashi Hatake, and more recently, Raiden, the God of Thunder. I am also the Jinchuriki of the Nine-Tailed Fox, Lord of the Biju, Kurama. And he is also my best friend. I am also the new Emperor of Outworld. However, my most recent title is by far my most precious. Once he reached the bottom of the stairs and stepped on the hard ground, his body suddenly turned golden and was surrounded by a golden fire and formed into a sort of cloak. You know that scene where, during the Fourth War, Naruto and Kurama first come to terms. Kakashi and Guy are blinded by the effect of his transformation. That's what's happening here. The most precious title to me is being the husband of Mileena Kanam. She is my wife, and you just threatened her. That, I will not tolerate. He then clapped his hand together so hard that the actual clap was audible to everyone as he started concentrating his chakra and energy. Hoo-ah! Just like he did when he was chasing the fallen elder god in the sky, an enormous amount of golden chakra burst from Naruto and slowly formed into the form of the nine-tailed fox. The chakra Biju easily dwarfed the two giant demons at the rear of the Netherrealm army and effectively frightened Liu Kang and Katana as well as the rest of their army. Naruto and Kurama spoke as one as they said in unison, "You, the Netherrealm and all who are affiliated with it, will leave immediately. And if you fail to obey, or ever return to Outworld or Earth Realm, we will destroy you without hesitation." The large golden chakra Biju created two shadow clone chakra Bijus that appeared behind the two incredibly large demons at the rear and uppercutted them high into the air. Liu Kang and Katana looked back at the original chakra Biju as all nine tails were surrounding his wide-open mouth and witnessed as an absolutely huge amount of power that all could feel gather into a large dark ball. It began to shrink into a much smaller form and then watch as the giant chakra Biju swallow it. It hen crouched low as it aimed for the two demons that had been knocked up high as smoke began to come from its closed mouth. Then, in an instant, Kurama had fired the Bijudama directly at the two demons that were thousands of feet high in the air. Liu Kang, Katana, the Netherrealm army, and all of the Outworld residents who were nearby watched as the amount of pure energy was flying through the sky at its intended targets. The blast that had occurred incredibly high in the sky, too far for it to be of any real damage to everyone on the ground, but they all felt the enormous shockwave and the wind from the after blast. Everyone but Naruto, Chakra Kyuubi were affected as they tried to cover their eyes. What the hell was that? Revenant Katana yelled through the air at her husband. The power of a god. Revenant Liu Kang yelled back. We must retreat. Once the air and dust settled down, the golden Biju leaned his head down to where it looked Liu Kang and Katana in the eyes and said to them, "Leave, or die. Your choice." Liu Kang held his hands together as red energy gathered around them and a large blackish-red portal opened behind them all as he said to them, "This is not over. It is if you wish to live," Chakra Kurama said in return. Liu Kang grimaced as he was forced to retreat. Once he entered the portal with the rest of his Netherrealm army and his wife, the portal closed. The golden form of the Kyuubi dissipated and Naruto returned to his regular form and Mileena grabbed his arm and said to him forcefully, "You, bedroom, pants off, now." Naruto chuckled as he said, "Yes my lady." Mileena followed him, eager to give him his prize for just basically kicking Netherrealm's ass. Thank you for listening. I do hope you guys enjoy the series. If you guys enjoyed this series, if you want new fanfiction, like, subscribe and comment down below and turn on the bell notifications and also check out the other videos that I have created and enjoy. See you in the next video. Peace. Thank you for your time.